Yeah! Yeah! 100 kilos! G'day everyone. So I've skipped the last couple of days of the vlog just because I've been sort of catching up on a bunch of editing stuff, and now that I'm finally caught up, I wanted to show you guys something I've finally finished and I'm releasing next week that I'm really excited about. So as some of you know, I've been using the mixed reality Live system, and I've made a video just to sort of talk about mixed reality and show it off in full force. Now I've only really been able to dabble and show little previews, but this video is really going to be a massive dive into esports, mixed reality, and VR as a whole. Now, it's not centered specifically around art or creativity, though of course it does refer to my use of VR and all that for creativity and mixed reality, but really it's just a huge exploration of mixed reality and the future and potential that this whole medium provides. And it's something that I'm really proud of. It's taken me actually over the course of 6 months, several weeks to edit, and it includes footage of the interview that I had with the CEO of Live in San Francisco. So it's something I'm really proud of, and it's also based on something I'm really excited about. It's the kind of content which, if I'm just being blunt with myself, isn't gonna get great views on my channel compared to an art challenge just because of what my audience expects. But at the same time, it's the sort of thing that really just rejuvenates me to get soaked into something I'm so passionate and excited about. So I can't wait to share this with you guys. I guess the only way that it's going to get decent views is if people like yourself share it. So if you love the video, please share it with your friends or whoever you think will find this sort of thing interesting, because yeah, just watch it, and I feel like by the end of it, your heart will race and you'll feel like, wow, this is actually insanely cool. And it has huge potential for what I'll be doing in the future with art and creativity. But I wanted to make this before I dive into doing much more mixed reality and virtual reality moving forward. Speaking of which, having just finished that video, I am now like so in the mood for VR, which is good timing because I've had the Oculus Rift sitting around waiting to be opened, and I believe that after the way I'm feeling, having just finished making this, today is the day that I'm opening it up. I'm not actually going to use it really, but I'm going to open it up, get it set up, and open up a few other boxes to prep some content that I'm going to be making next week. So the Oculus is already over in the other studio, which I'll get to in a moment, but I also have a few other things I'm going to take over with me that have to do with that project and then also have to do with VR in general. So let's start off with this thing. This is a green screen chroma key panorama. So the purpose of this is going to confuse some people, because some people get confused as to why I have a green screen roll and then also the green screen Live cube, right? Basically it has to do with how much visual coverage your chroma key can give you, and also how long something takes to set up. The roll, as you know, takes about 1 minute to set up. You roll it down, the problem is you just have one fairly narrow strip that you have to capture the video inside of to be able to chroma key out. The cube is amazing for virtual reality and mixed reality because it gets so much coverage. You can look up and down and around. The problem with that, it takes about an hour to set up, and that's the sort of thing that I'm going to set up when I do like a few days of intensive mixed reality content. The purpose of the panoramic green screen is to have something in the middle between those two, where I can have this big wide panorama that covers a wide viewing area, but I can't move the camera up or side to side or down as much, but it's still a lot better than just a narrow strip. So yeah, that's the reason I've got this. I'm gonna go set this up, and that'll be ready for VR videos that I'll be making next week once I've also set up the Oculus. When I say other stuff I've gotten, I also, where is it? Got some chroma tape, so that when I put on the chroma thing, I can tape it down, and it's just useful if you need. Anyways, and this thing is heavy. I'll show you why in a sec. This is a weighted vest. This is where you're going to start to think I'm a crazy person. This thing weighs 20 kilos. I also recently bought ankle weights and haven't yet come in the mail, I have wrist weights. So all in all these different body attaching weights are going to add 40 kilos to my weight. Why am I doing this? Because I'm trying to get into fitness and I'm having a lot of fun with my personal training and all that stuff, and I'm really enjoying VR. And in the little time I get to play VR on the weekends every now and then, I'm sort of wondering how I can turn it into a workout. My theory is, if I'm playing something like Fallout 4 in VR, if I have a weighted vest on, ankle weights and wrist weights, it's gonna like add to the immersion because it'll feel like I'm wearing the power armor, I'm stomping around and all this stuff. Plus I'm carrying more weight, I'm gonna work up a sweat, it's gonna like wear me out, but be a really good workout and just add to the immersion of virtual reality. So I guess you could say I'm a little OTT with this whole virtual reality thing, but I love it. So first thing I've got to do is clear out the space a bit, which I've started to do, but I need to move this couch and pull down the green roll. But before I actually set up the big, where is it? That thing, the big panorama, I'm going to set up this because I know that these things usually have a bunch of firmware updates and downloads that need to come with it, which means a bit of waiting. So I'll set that up first and then all the downloads can happen in the background while I set up the green screen. This is one of my favourite things to do. I get to unbox some fun tech. Let's just open this up, and that is very sexy. Like the packaging is like amazing. I feel like there should be a sound effect. Look at this. That is a very sexy set of packaging. The Oculus Rift, of course, comes without touch controllers, but they sell bundles pretty cheap these days. In fact, the Rift plus Touch is one of the cheapest ways that you can get involved in high-end virtual reality, with the exception of the PSVR, which is very good. I love my PSVR, but it's not room scale. So the Oculus Rift plus Touch and an extra sensor is still cheaper than the Vive, and from all accounts that I've read, and I've read a lot of them, people believe that it's the same experience in room scale as the Vive. There are just some pros and cons to each. So tracking is one of the pros, of course, to the Vive, as is mixed reality, but the price point and some of the exclusive content for the Rift is a pro as well. So it's just worth considering. I guess another point that people consider is that out of the box, the Rift headset is apparently much more comfortable and ergonomic. With the Vive, you sort of need to get the deluxe audio strap to get a good fit and a good audio setup, whereas the Rift comes with a apparently much more comfortable head strap, which I'll fit a bit later. I'm just going to pull all these parts out. A little remote that I probably won't ever use because I got the touch controllers. What? It comes with an Xbox controller. That's so random. I guess because they initially thought people would be playing VR like that. But nope, we want to jump into VR. So I guess the second sensor must come with the touch controllers, because there was only one sensor in that main box. There you go, second sensor. Ding! So we have one that came with the headset, another that comes with the touch controllers, which again is another one of those things that people say is better on the Rift than the Vive, so it's another point to consider. It does immediately feel more natural, but I guess for different things, because I believe for guns and like sword wielding, some people prefer the Vive ones, but for like art programs and stuff like this, some people prefer the ergonomics. So it'll be interesting, and I guess I'll give you guys my thoughts on how they compare. So there you go, that is the touch box done, and then we have the extra sensor, which I'm sure this won't be very surprising, is exactly like the other sensors. So there we go, 3 sensors, Rift plus touch. Very happy man. Let the waiting begin. This is where I get started with the green screen setup. Wow, setting up a VR is a real workout. Speaking of which, the weights I got are turning out to be pretty useful already. I'm not obviously using them at the moment for VR or anything, but this panoramic green screen isn't the best quality, and as a result the poles on the outside sort of are pulling in because they're stretching the fabric. So those weights are sort of holding the bars out, which is stretching the main part of the green screen, which is good. It's doing the job it needs to. I'll tape the bottom when I actually do the content. You can't really see in this camera. The tones are a little bit different. But you can sort of see it with this camera view from the front camera. So another thing, I guess, is to point out that that's where the roll is, the width of the roll. But if the panoramic green screen wasn't there, I mean, let's pull the phone up here. Okay, so there's the panorama and there's the rolls behind it. So without the panorama, the green screen sort of ends there and there. But with the panorama, it goes much wider, which means I can pull my camera much further back and get a full green screen chroma keyable view, which otherwise would have sort of been pulled in there and there. I didn't just get this thing for virtual reality when I want to do, like I said, quick and dirty mixed reality. I also got it for just to have in general, because even in the Bob Ross video when I did the come in and paint on the thing, like I had to zoom in and crop out the sides so much that it dropping my phone, it cropped off from here when actually it filmed my entire body. So I actually had to cut out like a third of the video visuals because I didn't have enough chroma key space. So this will be really good long term for content in general. Look at that! It's so much bigger. It's fantastic. And like I said, it's like right in the middle in terms of the complication time to set up compared to how much green screen you get. It's a little more complex than just putting out the roll, but it's less complex than setting up the whole cube, so it's somewhere in the middle. It's not as good as the cube, especially for mixed reality, but I won't have to, in theory, pack up the frame. I can just take off the green, fold up the frame and carry out the frame half set up, and then just open it up and clip on the green when I'm ready to go. Speaking of being ready to go, let's set up our Rift. Okay, so this probably won't come as a surprise. This is going to have to be a to be continued. I suspected this might be the case. I'm having trouble connecting a sensor. And that's because I think these things have a particular USB bandwidth requirement or something, and I have a lot running on that computer. So I've dabbled a little bit. I've spent about 20 minutes trying to fiddle around, but it's getting to the point where I think I'm just going to have to pick this up next week to really sort of troubleshoot it and pick things apart and put it together in a way that is going to be manageable. I think I'll have to sort of have two hubs that I run off and swap between for the different headsets and all the peripherals, and I don't know, I'll have to figure a way to manage it and kind of hot swap between where all the bandwidth is going on the computer, because that computer is not just running two very high intensity VR headsets, but it's got a lot of other stuff plugged into it. So I don't have time to go into that now, but I did get a start on it, which I was really hoping to do before the end of the week, which means that the sooner I finish the setup, the more the content I get to actually get done. But hey, I've got this thing set up and I'm halfway through the Rift thing. So with any luck, a couple of hours at the start of next week, and then we should be straight into making VR content. I think that's going to wrap up today's vlog. I'll go in and answer the question of the day, but I'm going to push some stuff out of the way so we can appreciate this setup just before we head off. There we go. This is the slightly more distant view of the new Chroma setup. That is really cool. I'm really happy with that. Man, I've got so much coverage. It's awesome. And it's really simple to set up too. So when I use this for mixed reality, I'll put the sensors up on those sides, I guess, for the Vive. And then as far as the Rift goes, I think I have to do some manual setup for mixed reality, but I believe it's possible. Otherwise, my planned setup is to have one sensor there. You can see it's just cable tied up there at the moment. I have another sensor there, and then I'll have the third behind me facing in. So that's the temporary setup. It's very messy, and it's going to get messier before it gets neater, just because I want to get it working before I finalize it and then pretty it up and do some cable management. Oh, I'm so excited! Alright, it's the end of the day and the end of the work week, so I'm going to wrap up with the question of the day, and I might take a couple just because I missed a couple of vlogs there. So the first one I'll take from Armchair Critic, who says, your old phone was filming honestly better, can't you use it? If not, why? That's because the screen cracked, so it's technically a broken phone. I prefer this phone, but the camera is annoying, but I'm just holding out until I upgrade again eventually, because, you know, this channel isn't about high production value, it's just about behind the scenes. Any sort of production value that comes along with it is just whatever I happen to be working with at the time. Sometimes it'll be good, sometimes, or most of the time it'll be average. Sorry, but that's just the truth. And Matt Badger says, do you think you'll ever have a second content creator to make extra content and relieve some of the stress at busy times? No. The only help I'll really be able to get would be with the production side of things, whether it be editing or sometimes with some filming shoots or whatever. But in reality, the fact is, like, let's say PewDiePie's channel, for example, he can't really get someone else to be PewDiePie, because he's PewDiePie. So my channel is Draw with Jazza and Daily Jazza. I can't get someone else to come in and be me, or fill in for me, or at least to any substantial degree. The exception on occasion is if my family is involved, because they're part of the Jazza family, but it's still not like, you know, they can't take over. The channel will end when I stop making content and I can't get someone to take over. It's just the reality. Because I know that the channel is getting the audience it's getting because they're an audience that want to watch me in particular, and if I were to palm them off to someone else, they're not getting what they signed up for. So yeah, stress is just part of something growing, and I've just got to find ways to adapt and learn and grow with that. And there are stressful times and there are really exciting payoff times, like today, where I'm finishing exciting content, I'm setting up for some more exciting stuff I'm you know, excited about. I set all that stuff up by myself, like I can handle most of this stuff, but there are times when it gets a bit much, and that's when we look for whatever help we can get. I just can't find another Jazza because I'm one of a kind. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm buzzing. What a high to end on, and what exciting stuff to look forward to next week. I'll see you guys later.